Hello, and welcome to episode 126 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, I have Kathleen Barnes, a great conversation about website design for interior designers. And she has some really unique and interesting tips for us that we haven't heard before. So you're going to want to stick around and listen to that. Before we get into that, I want to remind you that we have some great things for you in the show notes, a download on things I wish I'd known before I started my career in interior design, a quiz, and some other fun things. So check it out. Let me tell you a bit more about Kathleen. She is the founder of Kathleen Barnes Consulting, a web design and branding studio that specializes in creating strategic websites for interior designers. With over 10 years of global corporate experience in e-commerce, Kathleen has spent several years designing websites across various industries. Most recently, she has shifted her focus to the interior design industry, merging her passion for web design with her love for home design. Recognizing a significant need in the industry, she is dedicated to helping designers understand the value of their websites. Kathleen understands that a website is often the first impression clients have of an interior designer, and she's dedicated to making that impression count. Her approach goes beyond aesthetics. She dives deep into understanding the unique hurdles that interior designers face and how their audience engage with them on current websites. By leveraging strategic insights, Kathleen ensures that each project not only looks stunning, but also aligns with her clients' business goals and objectives. She has successfully partnered with several interior designers to enhance their online visibility and boost conversion rates. By implementing strategies focused on brand positioning, streamlining client onboarding and processes, and increasing bookings, she empowers designers to maximize the potential of their websites. Let's hear from Kathleen. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Hi, Kathleen. Welcome to Design Curious Podcast. Great to have you here.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for having me as well. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, me too. I really love what you are offering and that you niche into interior design as your client for a website. And also, I love that you have, we're going to talk about this, but the strategy and that there needs to be a strategic planning into your website. So, first of all, let's start off with your background and how you got into even helping interior designers in the first place.
Yeah, so over the past 10 years, I've been working in the corporate world, primarily in e-commerce, and this has just given me a very deep knowledge into the digital space, but then what also really makes websites effective. And over the past year in my business, I started working with interior designers, and that's when things just clicked for me
Hmm.
because I have a passion for home design from like DIY projects to just appreciating a beautiful space. And it seemed like it was a natural fit between web design and working with interior designers. And over the course of working with designers, I found that there was a recurring theme. So they wanted to attract more clients, but also higher end clients.
Mm.
They wanted more inquiries, they wanted more bookings. And so I really understood that there was a problem in the industry, and my expertise could help them see the value in a website and what a website could do from them, from not only growing their business in terms of a revenue standpoint, but also in terms of what this tool could do for them, from things like creating clear messaging to attract their ideal clients, to streamlining their onboarding processes, to connecting e-commerce shops or LTK shops, and ultimately increasing their conversion rate. So I really want to offer like value to my clients and help them understand what a website can do beyond just being pretty.
Hmm. Is that one of the things that you find mostly about interior designers, that they're just putting their portfolio up, but not really doing much beyond that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something I see quite a lot. There's a common misconception out there that I think sometimes interior designers have, and it's around that their website should look beautiful, which it absolutely should. But this is often at the expense of functionality and strategy.
Mm,
So, what I really like to do is break it down in a way that designers can understand and it's a little bit more relatable.
mhm,
So, imagine as an interior designer, you're going into a client's home and you're going to, let's say, design their living room. You're going into that space to look at it from not only making it visually beautiful, but you're going in and you're looking at like the colors and seeing what color palette you want to add to make it light, bright, and airy. You're looking at the flow and function of that space and does the layout work or can you improve it? And you're also looking at things like furniture. Can you bring in furniture that has different materials that might be kid friendly or incorporate smart storage solutions? So you're taking that chaotic space that maybe that busy mom and family have had, and now you're turning it into a serene space where she can still make memories with her kid, but she could also have guests over and have a really nice functional space.
mhm,
And so websites can a similar action where you want it to look nice, but you also want it to function behind the scenes. So everything on your website, whether it's the messaging, the calls to action, your navigation, how the website flows, all ties together and has a purpose to it. Your website is the first impression that a client can have with your business. And so you want to make sure that impression counts. And then it's saying, I'm professional, I'm the expert. And what a strategic website does, it will attract your ideal client, it will guide them to your services, it'll help convert loyal customers, and it will compel people to take that next action step with you, whether that's booking a call or filling out your form on your website to contact you, or even becoming a subscriber in your newsletter. And when you don't have a strategic website and it just focuses on the visuals, it really doesn't drive anyone to take that action.
mm. I think it's really easy for interior designers to assume that, oh, they're gonna see this beautiful living room space that I have in my portfolio, and then they'll just wanna reach out. They'll know exactly what to do. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
assuming that it's just really easy for the person to reach out, but I think, we take that for granted or whatever, that they're going to take that next step and often aren't inviting them. So, you're saying that having a strategic website, by having all these things in place, kind of walks them through the process, so they're not having to think so hard about reaching out to you once they decide that they like you.
Yeah, correct. And you can set up a strategic website in many ways. So you can tailor it specifically to your individual's business's goals and objectives. So if you want more inquiries, you can set it up in that way. If you want to streamline your processes to save you time, those are some things that you can incorporate into your website that work for you behind the scenes that sometimes designers just don't even realize that a website can do.
Mm, mhm. Okay. What are some other mistakes or pitfalls that designers are making on their website that you're seeing as they come to you?
Yeah. So I think a common one is a weak or unclear call to actions or no call to actions above the fold. When you're talking about weak call to actions, like your call to actions are your visual cues on your website, they're like your buttons. And if something is very unclear with the messaging or there is no call to action at all, this can really confuse someone and they may often not know where to go next on your website and then just get frustrated and leave. And then not having a call to action above the fold. And if you don't know what above the fold means, this is the area on a website where someone lands on your page and it's the immediate area that they can see on the screen without scrolling down.
Mm.
So if you don't have a button in that area, it doesn't allow them to engage and then take that next step, whether it's viewing your portfolio or learning more about your services or even just how you can work together.
Mhm.
And so those call to actions are extremely important. I would say the second mistake I see a lot is not detailing out your client process.
Mm.
So a lot of designers, they'll focus heavily like on their services page around their services, like their full interior design services or room makeover. And that's great. You absolutely want to do that. But when you miss detailing out your client process, you're not really showing someone how you work through things. And it's not giving them the experience of understanding that full process is from start to finish, what it's like to work with you and the results you might be able to provide for someone. So, an easy way to do this on your website is to maybe detail it out in some sort of like a timeline with all the steps of your process, or you could do it in like a simplified approach from a phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. And
Mhm.
this will vary between designer because every designer's process is a little bit different. But that's a real easy way to do that so that someone can really see what it's going to be like to work with you. And then the third one is using generic testimonials. So,
Okay.
generic testimonials are boring. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
They're very vague and they're not specific,
Mm.
and they really just don't give you any, like, outcome on what you provided to the client. So,
Would
this
that
could be
be someone said, "Oh, Rebecca is a great designer. She made our space really beautiful."
yes, I
And
highly recommend her, and it's okay, but what
mhm,
did you do in this process to improve that client's living space? Things like that. So, it
mhm,
doesn't give any specific, detailed, result-oriented information to someone who potentially wants to work with you. And
mm,
at the end of the day, testimonials are supposed to build credibility and trust with your
yeah,
audience
mhm,
and make that person want to feel comfortable in contacting you.
yeah. Okay, say you have a couple of these generic testimonials. What can you do to help them work better for you? Should you go back to the client that gave you the testimonial, have them rework it, or what's the best approach? Or should you give them an outline, like things to follow as they're giving you a testimonial?
Yes, a lot of people miss this. So you want to be very proactive when it comes to your testimonials. So you don't want to just go, you ended a project with a client and just go to them and say, hey, can you write me a review?
Mhm.
Instead, you want to ask them very specific questions, like around 3 to 5 very specific tailored questions. So these could be something
Okay.
like, how did your space feel before and after working together? Did the space solve any problems and challenges that you were facing? How did the space make you feel, or how did you interact differently with people once we've redesigned your space? And then what was the experience like collaborating with me? And those are just very specific, tailored questions. And you don't have to give those specific
Mhm.
questions. You can come up with your own, but get something that can get you deeper answers, more result oriented
Mm.
answers at the end of the day. And so you can do this in a couple different ways. You could set something up on your website, set like an individual page up. You could hide that page behind the scenes. A lot of times, websites will have an app form builder or something that you can embed in there, or you might be able to link up job forms if you use that. And then you can put those questions in that form and then send that link to the client once
Oh,
you've finished the project.
yeah.
There's other ways too, where if you didn't want to do something with your website, you could fill out a Google form or,
Mm.
like you said before, email the client and ask them, say, here are 3 to 5 questions. Would you mind filling those out? And of
Mhm.
course, if you have a generic testimonial from a past client, you can certainly reach out to them 6 months from now or whenever you want. And most times they will give you another testimonial.
Mm.
And what I love about this, because a lot of people just don't do it, is if you ask those 3 to 5 questions, you now have 3 to 5 different testimonials that you could place around your website.
Hmm.
So this could be like if you had a case studies page, you could put a testimonial there. You've put something on your homepage and your services page, depending on what it said and what you want someone to read and see.
Hmm.
That's a really great opportunity to do that.
Wow, Kathleen. I haven't had anybody talk about the testimonials like this, and I'm already learning a lot, I think, about how to
Hmm.
get great testimonials from my clients. I never even thought about being generic versus more detailed and problem solving that really showcases your expertise. And of course, generic testimonials are not interesting, but I never even thought about it. So this is great information.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I
yeah.
also have another tip too.
Okay.
When you collect those strong testimonials, once you have the strongest ones out of the bunch, you can certainly place them next to call to action buttons as well.
Mm,
Because testimonials build that credibility and trust. And if you place it next to that call to action button, they're going to be more likely to convert and hit that button to take that next step with you.
yeah. Okay. So, what about other areas that are maybe missed opportunities for designers that they're not realizing maybe they're leaving on the table without a strategic website in place?
So I have 3 here. The first is guiding visitors to convert by understanding your ideal client.
Mm,
So it's really important to understand who that ideal client is that you want to work with. Your ideal client, once you know this, you know what they're looking for, what questions they have, what drives them to take action. And when you have a strategic website that speaks to that ideal client, you have better conversion rates. I don't want to talk in like conversion rate type of terms. I want to break it down so that everyone understands what that means. But
mhm,
the average conversion rate for an interior design website should be between 1 and 3%. And so, what this means is that for every 100 people that might be coming to your website, you should have at least one person filling out that form or booking a call with you and taking that next step.
okay.
And if they aren't, that means you have a low converting website.
Mm,
If you have something above the 3%, you have a high converting website. But imagine if you only had one inquiry coming in per month and you were able to start increasing that conversion rate. What does that? You can turn it into 3, 5, 7 inquiries per month, and then those can turn into potential bookings, and you're consistently getting an inquiry stream there. So that's why it's really important to understand your ideal client so it can help you increase those conversion rates. The second one would be streamlining your onboarding. So this would be integrating scheduling tools. Sometimes there's tools within websites that are booking tools that you can use, or you might be able to sync something up to your Calendly. And then you could also integrate forms that have to do with your client onboarding process.
okay.
So when you're sending like welcome packets out or client intake forms or design questionnaires, you can put them on your website for people to go and use. So you start saving that back and forth email communication.
Mm,
And ultimately, at the end of the day, it makes you look more professional, but it also
mhm,
frees up your time.
mm,
So imagine if you could save an extra 2, 4, 6 hours per week, what that could do in terms of your business, whether
right.
it's saving you time so you can go back to designing a space, or you can save that time and spend it with your family.
Yeah.
And then the third one would be maximizing your return on investment on ads.
Mm,
So, as a designer, you might be setting up ads, either like Instagram ads, Facebook ads, or Pinterest. And then you're driving that ad traffic to your website. So, if you have a low converting website and you're sending that ad traffic to it, you're paying for visitors who leave without taking any action. But if your website is set up strategically and it's made to be a high converting website, you can make the most out of every dollar spent because now you know that when someone's coming in from those ads, your money is getting spent to turn those ad clicks into inquiries because it's set up in a way to drive that next step in action in your business.
Mm,
So, those are three opportunities that I like to talk about that
mhm,
someone could be missing.
really good. So let's touch on the ideal client, like understanding your ideal client in order to attract high-end clients, which
Mhm.
most all designers are looking for. So how can they use their website to connect more deeply with these types of clients?
Yeah. So, you really don't want to speak to everyone. You want to
Mm,
be very specific when you speak to someone that you want to become your client. And like I said before, once you do know your ideal client, you understand what they're looking for. You know what questions they have, what drives them to take action. So if you, for example, know what questions they have, you can build in FAQs on your website to answer those common questions and help them a little bit further in making a decision to work with you. You can identify your unique value proposition. So it's important to let other people know what sets you apart from every other designer out there. Do you have a signature design process? Do you love using certain fabrics and materials like eco-friendly, or you love bold colors and designs? It can be whatever you want. It's just
mhm,
making sure you're speaking to that specific clientele. And then you message everything on your website that way. And you also want to communicate the benefits over the features. And what I mean is, you want to shift your focus from saying, like, what you do to how I was able to impact the client's lives.
mm,
And what the benefits question kind of answers is what's in it for them
mhm,
instead of what's in it for me at the end of the day. Because someone's coming to work with you for your expertise. They know that you can give a good service and experience. And one other thing that usually isn't talked about, but this is a great way to connect with your ideal clients, is turning your portfolio into a case study.
yes,
This one's really interesting because a lot of designers for their portfolio page just list out their projects and
mhm,
then show all the images of the beautiful designs that they have done, which is
sure,
fantastic. But at the end of the day, if you are trying to attract those high end clients, they want to understand what the process is to work with you, and they want to know the results that you provided to others so that they can then put themselves in that person's shoes to say, oh, she did that for them. She can do the same for me. And so you can set this up like a story,
mm,
basically. You can walk someone through from start to finish the entire project. Why did the client come to you? How are they feeling about their space? What are the problems that they had? And then you can go into some of the solutions that you provided for the client. Did you have to come up with things out of the box to solve some of the challenges and problems that they were facing? What was the process that you went through? What was there different concepts you provided? Was there different inspirational pieces that you provided to them? And take them through that journey of what that looks like. And then you can finish up by saying, okay, here are the results, before and after pictures. This could be testimonials, this could be videos, and just give them that whole experience.
mm,
And then what I like to do at the end of having a case study like that is to put a call to action
mm,
so that they can come and work with you after reading that
mhm,
whole entire case study. And it's just that much more simplified. So this is something that's often missed. It's actually
yeah.
great for SEO, and it can really tell that story to someone.
Wow, I really love that idea too, Kathleen. That's not something I'd considered before, but I definitely am now. Where would you recommend putting that type of thing on your website? Is it like with your portfolio or is it on its own on a different page or
It could definitely be with your portfolio. You could start out small with just choosing like one or three But then you could also have different sections of your website. So if you wanted to feature a case study on your homepage or your services page, you could create a section there that says you were able to do this on this project, and then it could link into a page within your portfolio.
Okay.
And you don't have to switch your whole portfolio off in one day. That's a lot of work to create a case study.
Yeah.
Just choose your best couple projects to do it with,
Mhm.
just so that then if you wanted to place areas in your website for those case studies, they could be driven to those pages to read a little bit more.
Mm. I love that idea. Well, you are full of great ideas and obviously know how to do a strategic website. What's your process like when you're collaborating with designers to create a website like this?
Yeah, when someone wants to work with us, you can definitely fill out our application form on our website, and then we will jump into a discovery call. You can certainly bring your favorite beverage of choice. Is it wine, soda, water, whatever it is? I might bring a bag of Skittles or maybe some Cheez Its, and we're going to get to know each other. I am going to learn about your business. I'm going to learn about your goals for your business. So, where you're at currently in your business, where do you want to go? What are some of the challenges that you're having? What's currently not working in your website? What is working in your website? And then we'll dive into the nitty gritty details and go from there. And then if you want to continue working forward after the proposal is sent out, we go into what's called a web strategy phase. And this is the portion that a lot of people don't see with website design because it's all behind the scenes stuff. So what we
Mm,
do is we install what's called an inspector tool onto your website.
mm,
This is just like a small piece of coding. And so when someone comes to your current website, it tells us how the user is interacting with it, where they're going, where they're getting stuck, where they're exiting. And it just gives us a lot of insight to build a clearer strategy. And then what we do is from all the client intake forms, all the information from that inspector tool, we create a strategy map. This is essentially like your site map for your website, but it's all tied back to your specific goals and objectives for your individual business.
mhm,
And we create like user stories and journey flows through there so that we can make sure that when we are designing the website, it is all tailored back to those goals. And then next, we go into the web design process, which is the phase that everyone's familiar with. It's those visual mock ups of the website, it's the fun part.
mhm.
And then we'll go into the web development phase, which is more of like your SEO, any custom coding stuff. Anything behind the scenes functionality wise would be web development. And then we go into testing and launch. So that's pretty much what our process looks like.
Okay. That sounds pretty painless.
It's a
Trusting
lot.
Yeah, it is, but I know that if they were to work with you, that they'd have a wonderful website in the end that's definitely converting. I did love the statistics you gave about 1 to 3% being a converting website because I think some people might assume that if 100 people are coming and only one person is filling out an inquiry form, that might mean that it's not a very good
Hmm.
website, but it
Yeah,
takes a lot of people to find the right client that matches up.
100%. And there's always opportunity to grow from there too
Mhm,
with different things that you do in your website. So that's the beauty of it. There's so much potential that you can go from a 1% or even below a 1% conversion all the way up to 7 if you wanted
mm,
to.
mhm. That's great. Where can people find you? Because I know they're gonna wanna work with you.
They can find me at Kathleen Barnes Consulting. So it's CathleneBarnesConsulting. And then you can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Kathleen Barnes Consulting.
Perfect. Great. And we'll have those links in the show notes for everybody. So if you're driving, don't worry, we'll have it for you. And thank you so much, Kathleen, for coming on and sharing your knowledge. I love hearing about it and it just seems so straightforward and just makes so much sense. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. So I definitely had some great takeaways from this conversation. I already went ahead and implemented a lot of that on my website. I found her insights very useful. And also, I decided to partner with her for Launch Your Business Bootcamp. So, those of you in bootcamp already are familiar with her work. I encourage you to check her out. Her links are in the show notes, so you can contact her and get to know her services. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, I'll have another great episode. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you loved this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.